guys, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tiffany.
We are Sisters of the South. We're back with you today with another true crime story. But before we get started, we'd like to ask that you hit that subscribe button. Also, hit the like button, make some comments, and share. Also, hit the bell that notifies you every time that Sisters of the South uploads so we can share some time with you. Also, before we get into the story, we'd like to give a shout out to our favorite friends and vendor over at SoFly. SoFly, not so small.
Not no more.
Yeah. SoFly specializes in embroidery and engraving. They'll take an accessory and make it extraordinary. So you can pick your colors, you can put a logo, initials, your name, however you want to specialize your accessory, and just do it to your needs. If it's for a special occasion or just going out to a ball game or to a concert, do what you want. Also, they do engravings on keychains and some cutting boards, and they also do tumblers. So check them out. But we know that you'll be happy because they do it for us all the time, and we stay happy. We're always sporting around something that they've done for us.
That's right.
So we're going to show you a video of just how badass they are. So here we go.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that video. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you. And if you buy a little something, send us a picture. We always need ideas for more stuff to put in our closets.
Absolutely. And we will link their information in the description box below. So I'm going to turn it over to Tiff now so we can get started on this case. So here we go.
Okay, guys. So I found this story because we were working on missing people. And I thought, oh no, I would kind of know this area. Which we work a lot in East Texas, but I know this area. I've never heard this story. And I start looking into it to do a missing person. And oh my gosh, it's not just a missing person. It is crazy. So I'm going to tell you this story. And I can't wait for Stephanie to tell me her opinion.
Well, everybody knows I love to give my opinion, so
that's what we're here for,
excited.
really. Stephanie's opinion.
I'm so glad. Thank y'all for being here.
Okay, guys, so Gilmer, Texas is a small town in East Texas, Piney Woods. And in 1992, the population was about 4,967 people.
Wow.
I think that's about the size of my neighborhood.
That's a tiny town.
I can't even begin to imagine. Kelly Day Wilson was born May 18th, 1974, and in 1992, she was a typical 17-year-old doing typical teenager things. According to her family, Kelly was full of life and afraid of nothing, never meeting a stranger. On Sunday evening around 8:30 p.m. on January 5th, 1992, Kelly Wilson was leaving her shift at Northeast Texas Video to go to the bank to drop off the night deposit a few blocks away. According to Kelly's mother, at 10 p.m., 2 hours after this video store closed, there was still no Kelly. Kelly's parents were divorced, and Kelly was struggling with deciding who she wanted to live with. She wasn't sure if she wanted to go back to live with her dad in Louisiana, like she had most of her teenage years, or stay with her mom in Gilmer. Kelly had told her dad that she may be moving back with him in the next few weeks or so. When she had not returned home, her mother wasn't sure if she had left to go back to her dad's without letting her know, even though she always called to let her know what she was doing, is what she said. Mm-hmm. So Kelly's mom, Kathy, didn't worry until Kelly's stepfather, Robert, drove the 2 miles to the video store to check things out. Parked in the parking lot of the video store was Kelly's 1985 Dodge Charger. He looked inside the car and found Kelly's purse. Robert said he took Kelly's purse out of the car and drove back home to let Kathy know what he found.
Okay. Why in the ever-loving heck would you take her purse out of the car and take it back to the house? I I'm serious.
Yeah. I thought the same thing.
I would have been calling the
Actually,
cops immediately.
we're not the only ones that thought this.
That's strange.
So, thinking that you couldn't report a missing person before 24 hours, Kathy did not call the police.
Oh, heck no. I'd have done been called the law
Oh,
at
I
this
would have
point.
been there. Like,
Yes.
dude, we're looking. So at 6 a.m. the next morning, Kathy called Kelly's father, Robbie, to let him know Kelly was missing, and she wasn't sure what to do. He told her to call the police, which she did.
Okay. So she had to have her ex-husband tell her to call the cops.
Because their kid's missing.
I wouldn't have been able to sleep. I'd have been
No.
pounding the pavement, looking for my daughter, getting the cops involved.
Beating on people's doors, like, have you seen
Yes.
my daughter?
I mean, because her car's there. Where
Yeah,
is she?
Somebody had to see
Her
her.
purse is in the car. Where is she? Oh my gosh.
Well, Sergeant James Brown took Kathy's call, and he had the family come to the police station to file a report. Sergeant Brown went to the video store to start his investigation. Kelly's car was parked close to the store, but parked a few spots down from where the manager remembers seeing it the night before, when he and Kelly said goodnight.
Okay.
It was now parked closer to the back door of the store. Someone had slashed her left rear tire. The car was unlocked, and the driver's side window was down.
Mhm.
The keys were not in the car, and the only other thing he found in the car was a bottle of vodka.
I'm sorry. My first thought is, did the stepdad take the purse and the keys with him? Did he have the keys or take the keys, move the car down, and then take all that with him?
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. This has been one of these stories that I'm like, what the hell? So, Sergeant Brown then speaks with the video store manager, Joe Henry. Joe recalls saying goodbye to Kelly at 8:30 Sunday night. He sees her get into her car, start her car, and start to drive away. Then he turns the corner and doesn't see her anymore. There were some teenagers skateboarding across the street at the courthouse. One skateboarder tells Brown he saw Kelly drive away toward the bank, but then comes back to the video store and enters through the front door, which she parked towards the back, so that's confusing.
Yes.
Another skateboarder tells Brown that he saw Kelly turn off the store sign at 9:40. After talking for a while, one of the skateboarders just admits to slashing Kelly's tire out of boredom and just goofing around. So that's where the tire got slashed.
Okay.
Despite all the people walking around and driving around town that night, no one saw anything.
This one thing that kind of throws me off is we have teenagers that knows for a fact at 9:40 he saw her go back in the store.
Well, and you
Like, are
have to
we sure
wonder,
that's
was
the
this
time?
the night? Did he remember the night right? Does he know the time?
Well, how does he know the time? Most teenagers
Don't know the time.
absolutely have no idea what time it is.
I would say I have to wonder if he even knew what day it was, and I'll tell you why in just a minute.
Well, also, did he see her coming out of the store at any point?
No one saw her come out.
Okay, because they're being very observant for teenagers.
Well,
I
maybe
mean,
she was cute, so.
okay, that,
But they're not going to
I'll
know
give
what
them
time
that,
the
but
cute
they're
girl
gonna go,
came out of the store.
cute girl, 9:40, market. I mean,
I know.
I'm just curious.
I know. This whole everything is crazy.
Yeah.
So a grainy surveillance video from the bank shows a car making the video store deposit, but it's not clear if it's Kelly's car. And it really doesn't show the entire car. It's more of the back of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Police aren't sure if Kelly could have made the deposit from her car if her tire was slashed and her purse was still in the car, showing that she more than likely didn't walk to the bank. So, I mean, she didn't leave her car unlocked with the purse in it and walk to the bank. That would be weird. And
No.
so did she go before the tire got slashed?
Well,
know
if
what I'm
she
saying?
went, of course, because if she had drove that far to the bank to make a deposit, they would have been able to look at the wheel and see if she had driven on it while the tire was flat, because it would have caused damage to the wheel itself.
True.
And then at some point, the tire literally would have just slipped right off of the
Well,
wheel.
yeah.
So
Well,
the tread would
what
have been
they're
gone.
saying is she couldn't have driven the car to the bank with a
No.
slashed tire. Did she go before the tire got slashed?
Yeah. Well, this
And
is
you
the
would
thing.
think this teenager, if he knew that she went into the store and turned the sign off at
Yeah.
9:40, he wouldn't remember what time he slashed the tire. Guys,
These are some
I'm
studious
slashing this
students.
tire
I
at
mean,
850.
mark that
Mark
down.
that down.
There might be something bad happen. Mark it down. I mean, honestly, we don't know for sure about
Anything.
that being her car at the bank. I did look at the video and it is really bad. I don't even know
Yeah.
what the point of having a camera
It
was, to
doesn't
be
even show
honest.
the entire car.
No, and it's black and white and there's too much contrast. I
But you're
do,
talking 1991.
yes.
I'm surprised they even had a camera at that time
Yeah,
in Gilmer,
it
Texas.
was crappy. But I will say that her car, the Dodge, it was Challenger, right?
Yes.
It
Charger.
has a Charger. It has kind of like a hatchback to it.
Hmm.
And so this car that pulls up, what you can see, it looks like there's a slope to the back of the roof. So it leads me to believe that it is possibly that car. Also, her car is kind of a goldish color. And with that type of camera and the contrast and it being black and white, it's a light colored looking car, which gold would be reflective
Yes.
through the camera lens. So it leads me to think
But
that it
there
is
is
her
not
car.
enough to go on that it was for sure Kelly in that car.
Oh, no, a
That's the thing,
jury,
is even if it's her
yeah.
car, who knows that it's Kelly?
Yes, a jury couldn't convict somebody by that video.
Absolutely not.
I promise you, they could not.
So it wasn't long before the people of Gilmer, including her parents, began an organized search for Kelly, looking inside old barns, draining swamps, and combing the woods. Upon further investigation, Sergeant Brown found out that Kelly was a bit of a wild child. She liked to party and drink and often stayed out without calling home, even though he was told prior that she was a good girl that always called home.
Okay. He might want to start thinking, hey, someone's lying here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, I would think that.
Brown found out that Kelly liked the boys and the boys liked Kelly, including the 37-year-old video store manager, Joe Henry, who was also the last known person to see Kelly alive.
Hmm.
Joe admitted under questioning that he once jokingly offered Kelly $1,000 to sleep with him, and another time in the video store, he pulled her pants down.
This is absurd right here. And listen, I know you and I talked briefly about this, but this sign that she went back in, that she turned off, okay? I would just, if these kids have photogenic memory, I'd like to know, was there another car parked outside of this video store? And if so, was it Joe's? Was he in that building?
And I have to say something else. If that was not Kelly that did that night deposit, who
Who
else
was
would
it?
have cared enough to deposit the money?
Absolutely. That would be Joe.
Because I don't think some stranger is going to come out and take this girl and be like, you know what? We need to make this night deposit for her.
Hell no.
They're
And you
going
know
to
what?
keep the money.
In the possibility that that camera might strike a good picture of them, they're not even taking a chance. But hell no, they
And
have no
they wouldn't even
morals.
think about it.
Why
They would just
wouldn't
take
they
the money.
take the money?
They're
They're
not going to do what's right.
No.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, so that's a perfect point. The only person
He
that
would be
would
the only
care
one to care.
would be Joe, because he's got to go back to work the next day and he doesn't want any money missing.
That's right.
Now, I do think this though. If let's just say he's guilty. Um, yes, he went and made the deposit. If he's guilty and smart, he would take the money himself, hold on to it for a little bit before spending it, and say, well, it must have been a robbery. When she took the money, someone swiped her out in the parking lot and took the money and her and, took off. But it doesn't sound like Joe's very smart when you're offering a 17-year-old girl $1,000 to sleep with him.
What a creep.
I mean, what a sicko.
If I
right?
found that out, oh, geez.
That is so scumbag.
Oh, it's disgusting. Well, the FBI gave Joe a polygraph test,
Mm-hmm.
asking if he had seen Kelly or harmed her. Joe answered no, but the FBI states that the test was showing deception.
Oh, wow.
How Joe had an alibi. His friend remembers talking to him that night while he was cooking dinner.
Oh,
So
nice.
Sergeant Brown believes Joe Henry is not a suspect in his opinion.
Wow. He shows deception.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, put him on this side of the list of people to keep an eye on. Come on now. Are you serious?
Now listen, I'm one of those that watches the Chris Watts interrogations and stuff, and once they hone in on the fact that you show any deception in a polygraph, man, they are interrogation starts hard and heavy with any deception. And I just wonder how far they push this guy.
Well, let me tell you, there are other things in this story that you're going to wonder about.
Okay.
So, he doesn't find the manager a problem. So, next, Sergeant Brown interviewed Kelly's boyfriends. She had 4 boyfriends in the last 2 years, but her most current being Chris Denton. Chris and a friend had cruised by the video store that night, saw Kelly's car with a flat, but no sign of Kelly. Thinking she must have gotten a ride home, they just left. Sergeant Brown received reports about Denton having a quick temper and punching a previous girlfriend. He's a winner, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Brown brought Denton in for questioning. Denton denied having a violent streak, of course.
Mm-hmm.
He also claimed he and Kelly had only been casual, only hooking up 2 weeks prior to her disappearance, but he couldn't keep his story straight about the night in question.
Okay.
So where had he been that night?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't agree to a polygraph test and failed the 2 that were given to him, moving him up on the suspect list.
Oh, wow. He completely failed.
2 of them.
Hmm.
So Denton sold the car he had been driving that night a month after Kelly's disappearance.
Wow.
So Sergeant Brown tracked it down. After a thorough search, they found no trace of Kelly in the car.
Okay.
So it had been Chris Denton's mother's car, and the family made the decision to sell it.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes me wonder if he didn't drive that car with Kelly in it. She said, "Oh, I need to make a deposit." And they swing by the bank and make the deposit. And then something happened.
Well, nothing came of it because they couldn't find any evidence in the car. Now, he fails 2 polygraph tests, and so did this other dude, but we're going to keep going.
Wow. But did they find anything in Kelly's car?
Okay. I'll get to that too.
Okay.
You're asking so many questions.
I'm sorry.
No, I love it.
My brain is
because
just
I'm going to answer
exploding.
them. Okay. So 4 months into the investigation, Kelly's mom, Kathy, came to Sergeant Brown with an odd request. She asked that they stop investigating Kelly's disappearance.
What the hell? Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
What mother does that?
Not this mother.
Wow.
He explained to her that they would not stop investigating until they figured out what happened to Kelly. But Brown remembers his first conversation with Kelly's mom, Kathy. When she first came into the station to file the report, Kathy did not say Kelly was missing. Kathy instead told Sergeant Brown she was there to report her daughter did not come home and she believed she was dead.
What? What in the hell? So now that to me leads back either to the mother or the stepdad.
There's
Because how do you know?
strings leading to everyone.
No parent wants to think that their child is dead if they're just missing.
Okay, well, he also remembers things that happened when he first went to Kelly's home at the start of the investigation.
Okay.
First of all, Kelly didn't act like a grief-stricken mother. She already started getting rid of Kelly's things, including things that a normal parent with a missing child would have kept sacred, having hope that their child would be coming back.
Absolutely. I mean, it's only been a day, right?
Not even, because they went to the station they called at 6:00 the next morning.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe the same day.
She was missing at 10, 6:00 the next morning.
And now she's cleaning her room out.
You're talking 8 hours.
What the heck?
So Sergeant Brown went back to speak with Kelly's father, Robbie, and her stepmother. They tell Brown of their suspicions that Kathy had something to do with Kelly's disappearance. Robbie claims the morning after Kelly's disappearance, when he arrived at the home, Kathy was in the middle of planning Kelly's funeral. Kathy tells Robbie when and where Kelly will be buried, not even 24 hours after her disappearance.
Oh my gosh. What?
Well, there were other suspicious details. 2 nights before Kelly went missing, she called her stepfather to come pick her up from the video store because her tires had been slashed.
Hmm.
Robbie, Kelly's father, believes Kelly would have done the same thing that night. Called the stepfather,
Yes.
please come get me, my tires are slashed.
Yes.
Why would she have tried walking home or walking somewhere? She would
Right.
have called.
Hmm.
Kelly's younger brother was driving Kelly's car only a few days after Kelly went missing.
Wow.
Also, remembering Kelly's stepfather had taken Kelly's purse out of the car when finding it at the video store was very suspicious. So,
Yes, it
and
is.
when asked about Kelly's keys, Kathy could not remember if they found Kelly's set or if they had a spare in the house. So your daughter goes missing. She doesn't come
Oh, no.
home. You're looking for her, but you can't remember if you had your own set of keys to get into her car or if you had hers. I feel
That's
like you'd
weird.
remember these things.
Oh, yeah, you would remember that detail
Everything.
for sure. Oh,
Everything.
everything. Because it's etched in your brain. It's trauma. It's very
Because you're going to be
traumatic.
going over every minute to
Everything.
figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah, what was the last thing you said to her? What was she wearing? How was she
Hmm.
acting? Had she been on the phone with anyone before she left the house? Who did she say she had been hanging out with? Who she was going to hang out with? I mean, a plethora of information. You just start, just going over and over in your mind.
Well, Kelly's mother, stepfather, and younger brother were asked to take a polygraph test, which they passed.
Weird.
Yeah. So, Kathy then turns on Sergeant Brown, claiming spotty investigative work. Why hadn't he impounded the car, checked for fingerprints, and kept all the evidence intact? Instead, he told Kathy she should throw everything away. Kathy claims that from the very beginning, people would come to her concerned about Sergeant Brown.
Concerned how? I mean,
Well,
what's the concern?
I don't know. But did he really tell them to throw it away? Why weren't you checking for evidence in that car? There could have been someone else driving the thing. You don't know. It was moved.
Well, at some point, common sense has to kick in here, and you don't start throwing anything away.
I don't think any common sense was used here.
I mean, that's your kid. That's your daughter.
Well, yeah, she's already cleaning out the room. Why does she care if the
She's planning
the
her
car's not
burial.
being impounded?
Yeah, she's planning her funeral at this point.
Okay, so at the same time as Kelly Wilson's disappearance investigation, the Department of Human Services, TDHS, were in the middle of another investigation, the Kerr family.
Okay.
Oh, my. 3 generations of the Kerr family were being charged with child molestation, and 14 of their children were placed into foster homes, including a 7-year-old friend of the children. Once in the foster home, the children started giving details about satanic rituals, claiming the adults wore masks and passed the children around to be tortured and sacrificed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's scary.
Yeah. Now, in case you've never heard of it, that was called Satanic Panic. And it originated in 1980 with the publication of Michelle Remembers, a book co-written by Canadian psychiatrist Lawrence Pazder and his patient and future wife, Michelle Smith, which used the controversial and now discredited practice of recovered memory therapy to make claims about satanic ritual abuse involving Smith. The allegations, which arose afterward throughout much of the U.S., involved reports of physical abuse of people in the context of occult or satanic rituals. So, I remember in the 80s, I remember our father saying, like, oh, don't go across those railroad tracks, which,
Mm-hmm.
in our defense, you didn't go across the railroad tracks.
Yes.
We knew.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were, well, do you remember that? He would say, like, they were sacrificing animals and
Well,
there was devil worshiping going on over there. Now,
yeah. Well,
I
they
don't know.
had at
I
that
was
point in
young.
time, there was people that were coming up missing. There were people being found in the woods. We lived in the country. There were actually women that had come up missing in the Houston area and bodies that had been found actually in the area that we were raised, very close. And so they didn't know who the killer was at the time. It ended up being Henry Lee Lucas was who the culprit was that dumped those ladies in those woods. But at the time, and I remember in Halloween of 1986, because this was going on then, it was said that it was satanic panic, that it was satanic sacrifices. And so it had us kids really scared to go
Oh,
out.
yeah, I remember. I mean, I
Yeah.
was young, but
Hmm.
I remember Dad talking about it and thinking, "Oh, no."
Yeah, because we lived in now it's not the country, nowhere
No.
near what it was back then. And there's a lot of churches and a lot of Christian people, but that word spread really quickly.
Mhm.
And so yeah, we lived through satanic panic. And so it was a real thing, and especially in small towns
Oh, yeah,
like this, for
which
sure.
is usually how that goes.
Hmm.
Well, the 7-year-old friend claimed he was with the cult when they abducted Kelly in a van, took her out to the woods, tortured and murdered her, and then put her in a storage shed. The Kerr property was then investigated with some promising leads. Cadaver dogs hit on a toolbox containing a blue rag, a red shed, and 3 shallow grave like depressions in the soil. The shed had been suspiciously washed and repainted and contained a shovel with blood on it.
Mm.
Behind one home on the property, investigators found bone fragments and 2 devil masks, 2 knives, a bayonet, a blood-stained mattress cover, and a long machete.
Wow.
Now, there is no word on whose blood was on that shovel.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
I knew you were going to
Uh,
ask.
I
But
was
there
wondering.
nothing came of any of this, to be completely honest with you.
Wow.
But based on these findings, a grand jury indicted Gilmer Police Department Sergeant James Brown and 7 others on charges of Kelly's abduction and presumed murder in January 1994, 2 years after Kelly's disappearance.
Wow. You're kidding me. Okay.
So, prosecutors believe that Brown, who had been assigned to investigate Kelly's case, was involved with the 7 other individuals with kidnapping and imprisoning Kelly for over 1 week. The state also contended that they assaulted and tortured Kelly while she was held captive, then stabbed her to death. The TDHS claimed the children gave these the TDHS officer claimed the children gave these descriptions spontaneously. However, it was later revealed that the kids were also subjected to vigorous and coercive questioning, meaning they could have swayed the children into giving answers that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Because the investigation had been so badly botched, the Texas Attorney General's office took over and dismissed all charges in 1995.
um. eh, Okay,
Okay.
but now this guy's got this. Are these people? 7 people have targets on their backs now. Nobody wants to walk around with that possibility that people are questioning them all the time. I mean,
Well, since Sergeant Brown had been skeptical that the murder of Kelly had anything to do with the Kerr family, Brown was told that he was no longer investigating Kelly's disappearance, and if Brown interfered, they would have a problem. The prosecutor lumped Sergeant Brown into the charges likely as retaliation,
oh, I see.
which
I
is
see.
horrible.
But you would need more proof. I would want to know whose blood is on that shovel.
But you're looking at a
And
town of less than 5,000 people in a I mean, it's a very small country town, and you're saying satanic panic, and this officers include. I think people are just like, oh no,
it's just too much for their brains to handle.
put
I,
them all
I
away.
think they still need to look at the parents. I don't care if they passed a polygraph or not.
I think they need to look way further into everyone.
Well,
I
of
think
course,
they just
yeah.
kind of skipped over so many things.
There's
And the
so many
sad thing
people.
is, it was being investigated. And because Sergeant Brown went against what they wanted, he got taken off the case. So
Absolutely.
he got nowhere with it.
Right.
And to this day, no one knows what happened to Kelly Wilson, and she is still listed as an endangered missing person.
They need to look at Henry Lee Lucas, although he's no longer with us because they put the torch to him.
Yeah.
It's a possibility because he was roaming. Well, what this is
1.
1991. So I think it was further in the 90s that he was caught. It's a possibility. But I'm going to be honest with you. We're talking about a mother here that's planning her daughter's funeral less than 24 hours after she come up missing. The stepfather who takes the purse out of the car. The manager. Let's just say this. I'm just going to use a blanket statement. Poor Kelly
Yeah.
had nobody who cared enough about her. It Her father
Her
and
father.
stepmother
Yeah,
sounds like they did, but
they
they were
really
so
did.
far away. But everybody else just sounds like they treated Kelly with such disrespect and disregard that she was just all she was. And I hate to say this, was like a piece of meat. They used her.
Mhm.
And she didn't have anybody that actually valued her as a young lady and a human being.
It's heartbreaking.
And it's so sad. And I think that has a lot to do with why she's never gotten justice. She's never been found, and there's no justice. And let's be honest, Kelly's not alive at this point. Something nefarious happened to her, but nobody cared enough, other than her dad and her stepmom, I believe they did,
I do too.
to find what happened to her. It became a game, a power game.
I think she got lost in the mess.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and at this point, she's still missing, and she just got lost in it.
Yeah.
And there's too many open ends with too many people.
Well,
You
too many
know,
people got defensive too.
they all
Yeah.
failed. Most of them failed polygraph tests, multiple polygraph tests.
They failed the morality test in my eyes, every single one of them.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And instead wanted to prosecute an officer that was trying to figure out where she was.
Right. It didn't fit their narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Again, Kelly Day Wilson was last seen on January 5th, 1992, in Gilmer, Texas. She was a white female with blue eyes, 5 feet 7 inches tall, 120 pounds, and 17 years old at the time of her disappearance. She would currently be 51 as her birthday. This will be going out on May 22nd. Her birthday would have been May 18th. Kelly has naturally brown hair, but at the time she bleached it blonde and was growing out the roots. Kelly wears soft contact lenses and a wire dental retainer. Her ears are pierced. Kelly was last seen wearing a dark purple rugby shirt with a red, gold, and white insignia and a white collar and cuffs. Stonewashed cut-off blue jean shorts with strings hanging, white socks, brown suede loafers, a gold domed ring, a gold and emerald ring, a gold bracelet, a gold watch, triangular earrings, and a golden diamond ring, an inset Mexican coin showing the image of an eagle. It's been 33 years since Kelly's disappearance, but if you have any information, please contact the Gilmer Police Department at 903-843-5545.
Yeah. Guys, this one has so many people involved and so many questioning characters. I don't know what to think. One minute I think it's the mom, and then I think it's the stepdad, and then I start thinking about the manager showing deception.
He's a creep.
And then I go back to the parents and I think, well, they passed the polygraph, but there's a reason why a polygraph cannot be entered into our court system because of the accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
And then pops in the boyfriend who has some moral issues, to say the least, and is violent. And so you think, okay, well, maybe it's him. And then satanic panic walks in and then that happens. And I mean, man, who knows the truth? And then I think it could be Henry Lee Lucas.
I don't know. I just have to wonder, and we'll never know, who deposited the check or the
Yes.
money into the night deposit.
Yeah.
I think that
Exactly.
would tell a lot. Because
Right.
that would put her timeline. Did she actually go to the bank in her car, deposit the money, and then go back to the video store Or could she have gotten a ride from someone else and said, "Hey, we need to stop at the bank, deposit this
Hmm.
into the," you never know.
Well, see, that's why I think about the boyfriend because they're just driving by
Yes.
and maybe, she said, "Oh, hey, oh, you're going to a party later. Can you, yeah, I'll go. Hop in. By the way, I need to stop by the bank and make this deposit before we head out,
Yes. See,
and
who's
then
going to
there
care
you
about that
go.
money being deposited? The
Her
manager and her.
or the manager. Exactly.
And then you have to wonder, did they even talk to the friend that the boyfriend was with?
Well, didn't he
Because
take,
I know they interviewed the other boyfriends from her past.
yeah, but didn't the boyfriend's friend take a polygraph and he failed too?
No,
Oh, okay.
just the boyfriend.
Okay, then I misunderstood. Okay. I would definitely hope this investigator that got a raw deal sounds like he was trying to figure out what was going on. I would really like to think he did speak to that gentleman. But I mean, if you're hanging out with a guy who doesn't have a great reputation, you probably don't either. And would he lie for his friend? Probably, especially if he's a culprit or
Yeah,
an
but you got to
accomplice.
see if their stories are straight. I mean,
Yeah.
they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Um, how his reactions are,
Hmm.
how's he acting? Does he, yeah, it's anything. You still have to talk to them.
Yes.
It never says anything about them talking. And I feel like it's, oh, well, I mean, I don't believe he's a suspect. So we're just not going to worry about him. I just don't agree with that.
Oh, no, because if they are good liars, trust me, just by listening to them, that doesn't mean you're always gonna know if they're telling the truth or
A
not.
37-year-old man is hitting on a 17-year-old girl. He's got
Yes.
issues to begin with.
Yeah, that's scary too. I mean, poor Kelly. I'm just gonna be honest. Her environment was not a good one.
And I feel bad. I think she would have really gone back to her dad's.
Yeah. But she had a boyfriend, so who knows? That's probably what was maybe keeping her there a little bit.
I don't know. I think they were, what it sounds like, it was casual, but I mean, she kind of, I think she had recently moved in with her mom and stepdad.
Yeah.
So she had friends, but I think she really wanted to go back to Louisiana, is what it sounded like. And I think she had a good relationship with her dad.
Yeah.
And, this is my opinion watching videos of her mom. And, I'm not saying that her mom did anything, but in my opinion, she was very hard,
Hmm.
and just emotionless. I mean, there was
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. And sometimes, I
And
mean,
so I don't know if that was because they didn't have a good relationship.
or maybe she's numb because, when people
Because of
lose
what?
their children,
Yeah,
they say that they become numb. But still, why are you planning her funeral a day
well, that's what I'm saying. Like
after she's missing?
it sounds like the whole time she's just like, I mean, well, she's missing, she's dead. Let's just get this done.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. And listen, if anyone's ever been through this, with a missing child, because we've been blessed and we have not,
Yeah.
um, please let us know in the comments. Maybe it's something that we're missing, that's something that you go through. But I can't imagine if one of my kids are missing and a day later I'm planning their funeral. I I, I would be out looking everywhere,
You
talking
still
to
want that
everybody.
hope
Yeah.
forever. I mean, we just did another story of Buckskin Girl. Her parents looked for her forever. We're not leaving this home. We're not changing
Yes.
our phone number
Just in case.
just in case.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine. I would want their smell and their, that part of them
Still there. Hmm.
forever.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something I'm missing. It
Maybe
just
that's
brings
just
me
who
back.
she is, but it makes her look suspicious
Well, and
to
sometimes it may
everyone.
be mental health issues. You
Yeah,
never know,
I know.
of how people deal with things. Maybe she's been through some trauma, but still, I mean,
Well, I mean, there are things that we're hard into that we can have a conversation about and deal with where it's hard on other people, and other people would be like, we'll just say this. Our mom passed away of breast cancer, and we went through a year of pure hell
yes.
with it. And now we're a little callous to things because we've been through that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure some of you may have been through the same thing. And then we talk to people and people are like, how can you even talk about this? But
Without crying.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because it was so traumatizing. That's just who we are now. So
Mhm.
I'm not judging her. I'm just saying that's why people are suspicious of her,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah, you don't know the case, but it just makes you pause for a moment, and it makes you empathize and think, how would I react in a situation like that? And I know everybody responds differently to different things, but that I just can't quite let go of and understand.
Hmm.
And trying,
Well, her
just can't.
father can't either.
Yeah. It's just it's very odd, especially for a mother to be like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do know this: Kelly was given a raw deal, and she needs to be found. But at this point,
Where do you
that's
even?
where do you start? And what are the possibilities of finding any remnants at this point? I mean, it's possible, but every day, every year that goes past is just going to be harder.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Hey guys, get her face out there and share. If anything, if she's never found, if anything, just her memory. Um,
Yeah, she's a person and they
yeah,
that people forgot about.
yeah. So, mm,
So yeah, guys, what do you think? What are your opinions on this story and where do you think we know where it went wrong,
yeah,
but what do you think? What do you think happened to Kelly?
yeah. Let
Let
us
us
know.
know, leave us a comment. We love to hear opinions. We don't get a lot, and
Not a
that makes
lot.
us a little sad,
Yeah,
but we know you have them, so just type them in for us.
that's right.
So, yeah, guys, leave us a comment. But until the next episode, please remember to see
See
the
the
good
good
and
and
stay
stay
imperfectly
imperfectly perfect.
perfect. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.